My name is Shouvik. I'm with Copyleaks. As you can see, we're based out of New York City. We operate in over 100 countries. We actually have a booth outside if after this you want to learn more. Today what I wanted to do was actually show you guys just some data we've collected through the past year since AI and specifically ChatGPT became a thing. But let's start with the fact that there's a lot of AI generated content. I'm sure that's why most of you guys are in the room. That's affecting academia these days, right? And a 2023 report predicts that by 2026, nearly 90% of all online content will be AI generated, right? And look, I'm sure you're all seeing the same headlines that I've been seeing. ChatGPT passes an exam. Is it helping? Is it a friend or foe? Student cheating is on the rise. Are college essays dead? There's a lot of money being put into AI by companies like Microsoft and others. Elon Musk is in the game, so it must be big. AI is passing medical exams, right? Again, a lot of different headlines that are scary. And so I've heard a lot of educators especially say things like, well, the solution to all of this is to let's take it back to the good old days where things were handwritten, right? I'm not sure if that's the future, because, here's a video. Let me see if I can play this video. Whoops. Let's see if this video plays. Here's a student that connected their 3D printer to ChatGPT and had a handwritten assignment created by ChatGPT. There's a way, students will find it. Hold on, let me go back to, how do I go back to?
Click on present.
Here we go. And then, what do I? Wait, how do I, yeah.
I'm holding on your rope, got me 10 feet off the ground. I'm hearing what you say, but I just can't make a sound.
It wasn't me. I think you might have shut my presentation.
Oh, that's all right. I can open it up again. Here we go.
So if they play the Oscar music and get me off stage early, it's not my fault. All right, it's them taking
my
up.
fault.
It's all Mary's fault, really.
Oh, God.
So while Mary's figuring this out, let me ask, how many of you are worried about students or employees using ChatGPT or other LLMs in this room? How many of you guys have solutions in place to either detect it, to regulate it in some kind of way? Accurately. That's a good question. Accurately is, yeah, that's a really big question. So okay, here we go. While they pull that up, all right, perfect.
You just carry on where you
Thank you, Mary. Okay, let's skip right through this. Great, so we saw that. So here's the thing, academic integrity was easier to sort of monitor and regulate because it used to be, rewind back, let's look at what people or students in their classrooms are doing looking over their shoulder, and that's easy to monitor, right? Then it became, what if they were sharing papers? That was also easy to monitor because you had plagiarism tools and things like that, and especially as things went online, plagiarism tools like obviously Copyleaks, but Turnitin, and all these solutions popped up which said, oh, we'll look for someone's copying and pasting. But when you have something like ChatGPT emerge, where essentially what it's doing is it's using other content to generate new and so-called original content. We're going to come back to that in a second. The problem is that the way you look and how academic institutions and companies, by the way, look for plagiarism, that's changed, right? Again, think about the motive behind plagiarism. It's, I don't want to do the work, right? It could be because I don't know the content, it could be laziness, it could be a lot of other things, right? But even that used to require time, energy, effort. You had to go find something, you had to alter the text so you don't get caught with like a Turnitin or Copyleaks kind of tool. And there was always a risk of getting caught. Out comes ChatGPT, and it's like, well, we're gonna write you something original that no longer requires you to spend any more time, energy, or effort, right? So why wouldn't someone do something like this, right? And so the new model, for us at least, really, really changed. And what we are now doing is, as student papers come in, the first question that we answer is, was this written by a human? Or was this written by AI? If it was written by AI, well, there's your answer, right? It wasn't written by a human. If in fact it was written by a human, the second question we then answer is, was it written by this human or was it written by another human, right? And the question I get, I think somebody in the front row here, ma'am, I think you were talking about accuracy. How do you detect this stuff? It's hard, right? How do you do it accurately? And so for us, and again, I'm gonna get some data in a second, but just to like preface like what we've been doing here, for the past 10 years, we're an AI company. And we've been training our AI to understand how humans write. And the way we were doing that is, again, we were plugged in with Moodle, all the big sort of like LMSs to essentially learn how students write. We also work with over 500 companies like Cisco, Accenture, United Nations. We're learning how marketers write. We have some other platforms like an AI grader. Point is, we got really good at understanding how humans write. So when AI came out, or ChatGPT came out, we basically said, let's do the inverse. How do humans not write, in other words, right? And so we turned our platform Jan 1st, so ChatGPT comes out, what was it, end of November. Within a month, we launched a solution. Again, any Moodle users that were plugged in with Copyleaks, we turned it on for them. And what we decided to do was see what the impact was, right? So we actually took an anonymized survey of 214,000 students from around the world and said, how prevalent is the usage of things like ChatGPT among students? Here's what we found. This is just within 1 month of ChatGPT being out. 12% of high school students, all the papers that were coming in, were written by AI. Average about 11% throughout. Now here's where it got really, really interesting. Globally, when we looked at the data, again, we were looking at over 200,000 papers, students, and their behaviors. What we found was certain parts of the world, like the UK, India was over 33%. 33% of all the papers that were coming in were generated by AI, like ChatGPT. By the way, in the history of the internet, we've never seen an adoption rate like ChatGPT. It took, just to put this into perspective, it took TikTok 8 months to gain 100 million users, like new users, unique users. It took ChatGPT 1 month to gain the same 100 million unique users. Massive adoption rate, right? Again, in the US, we saw, I don't know what this means, honestly. I've been trying to figure it out. A lot more usage of it in public schools versus private schools. Globally, we saw a huge increase month over month. What was really interesting is, obviously, the institutions that were using Copyleaks went and told their students in January, we are now detecting this stuff, right? So then we said, after a month of telling everybody that we're detecting it, what was the impact? High school, they didn't care. As you can see, usage went up 200%. They were like, we don't care, we're gonna double down on this. Colleges, however, I think perhaps because more is at stake, the usage went down, and I think perhaps some of it has to do with just letting your from an academic integrity perspective, letting your students know that, hey, look, we are monitoring this stuff, right? And another question that recently came up in our heads was, look, there's not infinite, this isn't magic. AI, like LLMs, are just using content that exists to recreate content, right? So how much of this stuff is actually plagiarized, right? Or is it getting plagiarized? At some point, you're gonna run out of content that's original, because although it's stuff that's being written by humans is gonna be exhausted. So is that already happening? So we looked at over 1,000 pieces of output, a variety of different subjects, and we said, let's look, and this was originally generated by ChatGPT, right, 3.5. We said, how much of this stuff that was quote unquote original from ChatGPT is actually plagiarized? Here's what we found. Close to 60% of all content that's coming out of ChatGPT currently is plagiarized, outright plagiarized, right? Around 45% is like identical text. 27% are like minor changes. Again, minor changes, we're talking about things like, changing he to she, singular to plural, that kind of stuff. And 46% is just paraphrased from other sources. When we broke it down into subjects, here's what we found. Certain subjects, especially science subjects like physics, very, very high percentage of it is being plagiarized, right? Again, coming back to, and by the way, we have this report. If you go to copyleaks.com, you'll see this report available, much more detailed than what I just showed you. Not all AI content is produced equally. Detectors, somebody pointed that out. We detect it at a 99.6% accuracy. Again, what we're doing, people ask me, how are you doing this? We're not looking for the words being spoken. Think about like a speakerphone, right? And words are coming out. What we're looking for is the buzz in it, not the words being spoken. If there's a buzz, it means it was generated by AI. Again, come by our booth if you want to learn more. We have been showcased in a lot of news recently because of our accuracy. My takeaway, really quick, I know I'm getting thrown off the stage. Don't be afraid. Let's try to figure out a way to embrace it. Let's utilize the tools that are available to you. And again, there are solutions like Copyleaks out there that can do this accurately, that are currently available and integrated into Moodle.